Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yeshodanandana Mridjana Randana Yeshodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanatari Yamuna Tira Vanatari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yeshodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yeshodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanatari Yamuna Tira Vanatari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Jaya Gaurangi, Bengaluru, Gaurangi, Bengaluru, Gaurangi. Jaya Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Sudarshana. Jaya Lakshmi Narasimha, Jaya Ananda Deva, Jaya Ananda Deva. Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya, Jaya Nitai Chaitanya. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrata Kacharya Ashtotra Sarasri Srimad Abhay Charanaravindra Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrata Kacharya Ashtotra Sarasri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय मायापुर श्री नवद्वीप धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय द्वारका धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय Gaurabhakta Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतः सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी हरि ओम तत्सत्. So Hare Krishna devotees, welcome for today morning ISKCON Seshadripuram's morning Srimad Bhagavatam class, online Bhagavatam class. So today I have been asked to discuss fourth canto, the creation of the fourth order, then chapter 16, which is praise of King Prithu by the professional reciters, and verse number 18. We will read this. Dehinam atmavad preshtaha सुहृदां नन्दीवर्धनः मुक्तसङ्गप्रसङ्गोऽयं दण्डपाणिर् अशुद्धुषु. Word by word meaning. Dehinam, to all living entities having a body. Atmavat, as himself. Preshtaha, considering dear. Suhridam, of his friends. Nandi Vardhanaha, increasing pleasure. Mukta Sangha, with persons devoid of all material contamination. Prasangaha, intimately associated. I am this king. Dandapanihi, a chastising hand. Ashadushu, to the criminals. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I'm not sharing. Sorry, I'm not sharing. I'll just share it. Yeah. Translation. The king will consider all embodied living entities as dear as his own self, and he will always be increasing the pleasure of his friends. He will intimately associate with liberated persons, and he will be a chastising hand to all impious persons. Purport. The word Dehinam refers to those who are embodied. The living entities are embodied in different forms, which number 8.4 million species. All of these were treated by the king in the same way he would treat himself. In this age, however, so-called kings and presidents do not treat all other living entities as their own self. Most of them are meat eaters, and even though they may not be meat eaters and may pose themselves to be very religious and pious, they still allow cow slaughter within their state. Such sinful heads of state cannot actually be popular at any time. Another significant word in this verse is Mukta Sangha Prasangaha, which indicates that the king was always associating with liberated persons. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakant Vitamscha हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधु भयेव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Welcome devotees for this section. So here the background which we have been saying, but I think it is to be said still because sometimes since these are recorded videos, anyone can pick up and see at any point in time. So in terms of the continuity, this is to be mentioned. So the background is here the professional reciters, basically the poets. There are so many great poets in every kingdom. So, and generally the greatest of poets are employed in the kingdom, and they are there in the courtyard of the kings, and then on and off the kings engage them to have some nice poetry, and appreciate the art of the jugglery of words, and may give pleasure to all the, of course, the king and all the assembled ministers and all the great personalities there. So now here, Lord Brahma has engaging these professional reciters to actually glorify the king here, Prithu Maharaj. So we all know Prithu Maharaj came out of the body of Vena when his arms were churned. So this Vena, why his arms were churned King Vena's dead body. I mean, his arms was shaved. So the King Vena was a very notorious person. And somehow he was incarnated as the next king because his father, who could not tolerate his atrocities, the son's atrocities, who tried to correct him in many ways, but he was not changing. So the father got frustrated. He said, maybe this is an opportunity for me to understand this material world is like this, and I should now go to find a solution to this permanently. So he actually left the kingdom and went uh, to focus deeply on self-realization. So he went away, he left everything and went. And then the Brahmanas, the advisors to the kingdom, then they decided, okay, there's no king here, because immediately the thieves and criminals started plundering the kingdom because the king was not there. Therefore, no head. Head means everybody tries to think, okay, now we can do whatever we want to do. So in that way, there are a lot of criminal activity started in the society. Therefore, the Brahmanas who are responsible for giving good guidance to the people at large decided, okay, we will, even though his son is not so very good, is the reason for the righteous king to even leave the kingdom, let us give him a chance. So they give him that opportunity to become the king. But unfortunately, his atrocities continued and even became bigger. As a result, the Brahmanas then felt, this is becoming too much and we cannot allow him to govern anymore. So they used mantras and killed him. So the Brahmanas are very powerful. It's not like, a king is the most powerful thing. Actually speaking, real Brahmana is very, very powerful. They can, simply by chanting mantras, they can create weapons. They can do whatever. There are many, many such cases. They are, it's, it's a combination of things. A Brahmana can be a very great devotee. As a result, the entire power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is behind him. He may not have any this one, but there are other Brahmanas who are more impersonal. Their way of thinking is by the practice of their austerity and all that, they get the strength, what you call the, it's also a kind of a science, where by those austerities, they get the power to do things. So these two types are there, but irrespective, both are more inclined towards higher knowledge than what is mundane material knowledge, even though this kind of getting power to do some kind of a magic and all that is also material beyond a point, but it is still higher material than what we currently have. In that sense, it is okay, but it's not spiritual though. Nonetheless, they have this power, so they actually use these powers and killed the king. Then now what to do? We need to get another king. Therefore, they decided to churn the body of this dead king so that one more kingly person, that lineage can come. So they churned the body, and from that came King Vena and of course his wife. And it was identified that this person who has come out from the churning of the body is not an ordinary human being. It is a plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Prithu Maharaj is actually a plenary expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and his wife, naturally, a further plenary expansion of the Mahalakshmi. And there are ultimately further expansions of the king and the queen, are ultimately final expansions of plenary expansions of Krishna, Supreme Personality of Krishna and Radha. So that way they have come. And now after that, they are coronated. And after coronation, they are actually being glorified by there are all these demigods, including Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, all the Indra, Chandra, Vayu, all of these great personalities, they come and they're all giving gift to the new king, Prithu Maharaj. All that happens, and then there is this glorification which is happening. So this section, what we are dealing with, is part of this glorification. I'll read the translation once more. The king will consider all embodied living entities as dear as his own self, and he will always be increasing the pleasure of his friends. He will intimately associate with liberated persons, and he will be chastising. He will be a chastising hand to all impious persons. So part of the glorification is they are talking about the great characteristics of Prithu Maharaj, who is perfect in every sense. He is a role model for how a king has to be. This we have seen in every sloka. You can see that perfection in every act, perfection in every uh, uh, what do you call role that a king is supposed to do. If you are a king, you are supposed to have these qualities. You have to exhibit these uh, what do you call qualities, and you have to perform like that. And that one, he is the most perfect. Actually, it is even said that Prithu Maharaj only actually made great cities and all that. Before that, in one sense, I don't know, but it is mentioned that all these structured cities, how to divide the kingdom into different zones, how to create the different what do you call today? We all call this no, it's different. This nagar, that nagar, like that. So all the various people organized in different communities, how the architecture, all these things he was an expert, uh, great personality. So I'm not simply in just organizing the geography of that place, but also in how he governed the people very nicely. So these some characteristics are being described here. The most important thing here is he treated that word which was used was Dehinam, which is important. Is simply, when you say Dehinam, it is not simply human beings. Like when you say king, he represents the people, right? So that means a king should be just to the people of the country. That is how we are saying. So we are also saying, right? In our own this one, we say all Indians are my brothers and sisters. So when we say Indians, generally we interpret it as all the human beings in India who are Indian citizens, human citizens. But actually, this Dehinam is a much larger word. Dehina means any living entity which is having a body. So not simply human body. So we know we are souls. That means we are Atma. That is the energy within the body. Who's actually the person? The body is simply a vehicle in which that Atma travels to perform whatever his desires are, or experience his past, experience the results of his past activities. So he is coming in this body, and there are 8.4 million bodies Prabhupada writes here. So therefore, we all understand there are various animals, there are birds, there are insects, there are uh, amphibians. There are different kinds of bodies, even microorganisms. All these are bodies, but inside each of this there is a dehina. That means there is a soul which is sitting inside that. Therefore, the point is the king is supposed to treat all these souls, not simply the bodies. Naturally, like how he would treat himself. That's what is written in this verse. And therefore, how should the king govern? Should he be mindful of all the living entities within his kingdom? Which means what? All the animals in the kingdom. He should treat like how he would treat himself, which means not we are generally thinking, okay, at least we treat the humans like humans, how the king is treated. Not king means generally it's not like okay, the king is living in a palace that all the others generally don't live in a palace. That's not what it is. But in terms of giving respect, in terms of giving them their due position in the society, not exploiting people, not being unfair to people, not being unjust to people, providing them all the facilities that is due according to their karma. Right? These are things which he has to do. So now when it comes to these animals also, one has to be mindful how we should treat these animals. Animals are not like slaves, or animals are not like, we will exploit them however we want to exploit them. And we will kill them, we will eat them, because my tongue requires the flesh of this animal. So these are all very important things. So the king was actually taking care of all these living entities. You can see in those Vedic times, most kings actually did all these things very nicely. Even Parikshit Maharaj, when he saw the cow and a bull and one black man, uh, he was beating the leg of the bull. And immediately Parikshit Maharaj went and seized him. He said, "How can you touch an animal with aggression like this? You have no right to live in my kingdom." And he wanted to kill him immediately. And then that is, of course, Kali Purusha. And then he pleaded, "No, no, I also need some place to live. I am also your citizen here, so you need to protect me also." Then he gave him some directions. Okay, you can do like this, but you cannot attack animals. You cannot do things which are not acceptable in my society. He gave him where there are some small jurisdiction into which he can continue his activity, because he also has a role to perform in the scheme of things of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, like that, the point is all many kings. You can see even in what do you call in normal history of kings, there are stories of not Vedic kind of thing. It is even if I have to say recent history, means maybe 1,500 years back, in terms of the social kind of life. I'm not talking about spiritual life, where kings have been there. There is one person who gave his chariot for a creeper to grow, because it had no place to grow. So that creeper has to grow. So he kept his chariot for that. There are kings who killed his, gave punishment to the son by killing him because he offended the calf of offended or killed a calf, and the mother cow came asking for justice. And therefore, he found out it is his son who actually killed the calf or something like that. And therefore, he gave justice. So the cow came to this kingdom and was crying and rang the bell like that. And then he said, "Okay, what happened? This is what happened. Your son actually." Okay, then there has to be justice. Just because it is a calf and a cow, we cannot ignore it. And the offender is my son, so give him death sentence. So this is all there. Even in little earlier, social kind of thing, morality was there. But today, Prabhupada writes, there is no morality. People are exploiting all living entities. Even humans are not treated right. Every day we are seeing in the newspaper and in the news that human rights have been violated, human rights violation. So immediately a committee is set up and there is probe. At the end of it, nothing happens because there is power. People have a lot of powerful people in power commit crimes, and then all this is there. This is all just, it's at least said that a lot of them are eye washes. Nothing really happens because these power people have a very good power, so they circumvent the system. Things like that happen. Now here we are talking about other living entities also, not simply humans. So this consciousness is at a, I don't know, 10,000 feet above our current consciousness of really caring for this animal. See, if you see how people put all these animals in the zoos, and then, we all say, I want to have a break. Yesterday, one example was a holiday. So many people, if you see all the zoos will be full, people will all be there. And then these are caged inside and they're struggling inside, and people want to take a holiday, go and please them, take nice food and all that there, nice canteens, everything is there. So that animal is suffering. We want to go there and enjoy that suffering. This is our mood, the kind of thing. Okay, then they said, "Oh, no, no, these animals should not be in this condition." So some countries evolved. They said, "No, we should not be treating animals like this. You let them free. You go inside a cage and then you go inside that van or something. You are caged inside, you go inside. That's at least slightly better." But again, animals are used to roaming long distances, so they need to be given that area to go around. There should be enough forest. We are cutting away all the forests, right? There's so many things like this. There was, I was living in one house earlier. So that was in the edge of a forest. So we could see from that balcony a lot of rabbits, these snakes, even the mongoose and deers, things like that we could see. To an extent that there was one snake which came from the tree and it was living in my balcony. So yeah, this is a forest, it is their place, somehow we are living there. So he was living there, we were living there. So we had covered that, closed that balcony that we don't open it. So it's a glass door there. So the snake was living the other side. We can be able to see that snake this side. Because this is their land. At the end of it, we cannot be creeping, oh, how can you come here? It is their land. We need to mind. So they should be given a lot of spaces to live. But unfortunately, in modern society, we are taking away all their lands. There is people are talking about extinction of animals, which means they don't have place to live. Therefore, they are sort of forced to die, and no more procreation. They cannot create more. They cannot continue their family lineage. As a result, that animal, particular type of species, is becoming extinct. They say. So these things are happening very badly. And particularly Prabhupada here is talking about also like cow killing, where the kings are supposed to be protectors of all these Dehina, all these living entities, particularly cow. Cow is considered of all the animals, cow is considered much evolved. Evolved not in terms of physical capabilities or something like that. When we talk about evolve, we talk about evolution, as in Darwin's theory, where it is said, the animal's brain becomes better and better and better, and therefore from the water it comes to the land, and then from land it develops nice senses, and it becomes much more strong, where it becomes like a tiger, like all these kind of things. But that is not what it is. All of these bodies have always existed. So a tiger always existed, a water animal always existed. It is not like they evolved and then they slowly became bigger conscious animals or something like that. But this evolution is not to do in terms of the body, but evolution in terms of the soul. So a cow is considered highly evolved in terms of the consciousness that next the cow will get a human body. So that means the dehinam, that the living entity inside the body of the cow, that entity, that soul, will get promoted to take a higher capable body as a human body. Just like we say, all these phones, iPhone 15, iPhone 16, iPhone 17. So what is the difference? There is some upgrade inside the technology that has happened. So that phone is more capable of doing things. Both are simply metal and some silicon and things inside. I don't know, whatever it has, so many chips and all that. But what is so better than that is there is some higher technology built into that. Therefore, it is an upgraded thing. Similarly, the soul is the same, but it gets higher facility to perform in a higher level of consciousness in the new body. So from a cow, you come into the human body. Therefore, a cow should never be disturbed. That means it should not be killed and all that, because that soul will next graduate in the normal course of time. If you suddenly cut it off, then you are cutting down that time in which that soul has to be in an animal thing. So it has to take another birth through us, another cow or whatever. And then later, once that time period is over, it will come into that human form. So we are actually trying to give trouble to these atmas which are progressing very fast towards human body, because human form is the most ultimate form for self-realization. That is important. Without a human form, it is very difficult for any Atma to go back to Godhead. There are, of course, very rare examples of animals actually performing devotional service. We keep seeing some of these things in WhatsApp sometimes. Once we saw one in one of our ISKCON center, a kind of a deer. It's not the normal smaller deer we see, a big one, which came into the temple. It was badly hurt. So it went into one of the temples. It went, took darshan of Prabhupada, and then it went to the lordships. It took darshan of their lordships. And then it left the temple room and went outside and left its body. Outside means inside the temple premises, but outside the main sanctum area. So, and devotees were all there seeing this. It's a huge, it's not like an ordinary deer which you can go and hold. It's a very, very powerful. It would be like 800 kg. I mean, something like 500 kg, something like that. Very big deer with horns and all that. So you can't. It's not. It's a wild animal, not a domesticated animal. So they were all away, keeping away. But finally, it went down and lied down and was dying. So devotees were all there around, nicely chanting Hare Krishna. And once the deer died, I think they cremated it. Very rare such great animals. I mean, souls in the form of animals, but by and large, it is human form, which is what is actually uh, good for going back to Godhead, meant for using to go back to Godhead. So that to care for cows is very important. And Prabhupada is saying that, sometimes these kings themselves are all eating animals. Where is the question of the? Then he's saying, okay, still there are some kings who don't do that. They don't eat animals and all that. But still they are promoting animal slaughter. But if you really see, even India, we are supposed to be worshipping cows. We are supposed to be giving cows a very important position. Actually, it is said cow is considered one of the six mothers. For humans, we say no, there are six mothers. There, example is the original. That means the biologically whoever is the mother, then the nurse, then the spiritual master's wife, then the brahmana's wife, uh, then Mother Earth, and then this cow. Because cow milk children are given, and you drink the milk of the cow, it becomes your mother. So they say, this cow is considered mother. And so how can you kill a mother? So in India, we give it such an important position. But unfortunately, I don't have the statistics, but I have heard people say we are one of the highest, what do you call, beef exporters. Beef means, I think, cow's flesh. We are one of the highest, one of the top countries who export most beef to other countries like this. I mean, I don't want to get into that thing, but it is still happening. That is the point that we're talking. That is very, very heinous. That's very, very heinous. Some states are trying to, okay, you control that, let's reduce. Some states are trying to do that. But ultimately, the consciousness of the people have to change. And the king should actually be guiding the people towards such thinking. That means there's a lot of spirituality, spiritual knowledge should be promoted. It doesn't matter which religion. I'm not talking here religion. See, the idea of God consciousness is one. It is not about religion. So all religion actually preach to brotherlyhood, which not simply about humans, but all living entities. So these are there, and we should bring that to the core. It's not about, oh, my religion versus your religion. No, it is about really taking to the deep internal message of each religion. It is all about welfare of all living entities. It is about connecting to the higher consciousness. There is no difference. Prabhupada always says, religion means connecting to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And whichever religion is able to do that or is working towards that, has teachings towards that, that is fine. We are not simply saying, oh, this is, loving God means religion. So anyone who is able to love God, that the method they are teaching, that is a good religion. That's all. There's nothing called, this religion versus that religion. All religion is actually looking towards welfare of all living entities, and that should be the priority of all human beings and all the governments. That's what Prabhupada is saying. And then some two other factors are also being discussed. Mukta Sangha Prasangaha. That means the king is also very nice. Mukta Sangha Prasangaha, and the word is mentioned. Mukta Sangha with persons devoid of all material contamination. Prasangaha intimately associated. I am this king. So this king, Prithu Maharaj, is also very favorable to all liberated persons. That means spiritually elevated personalities. That is the other important thing what I was saying. The kings should lead the population towards higher consciousness. And how can they do it? By themselves engaging with liberated persons and also encouraging their common population to actually engage in spiritual devotional activities. So, promote all genuine religious activities. Again, it's not about this religion, that religion. It is about real spirituality, how to engage a soul to evolve higher to the higher consciousness where they understand I am not the body, I am pure spirit soul, uh, and how to keep progressing in that direction, not simply about economic development. Yes, that is important because the society has to run, people have to get their healthy living, good standard of living, no disease. We need to take care. So we need knowledge. We need to know medical science. We need to have proper guidelines, Kshatriya administration. Everything is needed. But along with that, that's why Varnashrama system is created. It is taking care of all the bodily needs, how to organize the society nicely. Then add to that Narayana. So Varnashrama means without Narayana, it's no ashrama. Otherwise, it is simply living like animals. So that connecting the higher consciousness, talk about the supreme personality of God and understand who am I. That should be parallelly going on. Whatever is the social stature of the person and whatever it is, beyond that, this should be going on. So that is the role of a king, and he should be actually associating with great personalities. And so what the king follows, the common population will follow. So if he is doing such association with great liberated persons, then the weightage is given by the citizens also for such great saintly persons. They will also invite, and then they will also hear from such great personalities. They will also glorify, the spiritual life. That way, the whole population will move towards progress. Because as I said, the human form of life is meant for self-realization. And only these liberated persons can teach us how to do that. And they should be glorified. They should be given higher place uh, in our hierarchy. And we should listen to them. We should act according to their guidelines like that. So that Prabhupada is discussing. That is very important. And he's also saying, here in this verse also, he gives increase by increasing the pleasures of his friends. It's mentioned also. Prabhupada is not writing much about it. That is being nice to all the people, right? That's part of it. Of course, when you say friends for a king, everybody is friend. Everybody in the society is friend. Everybody is praja, is his children. That way he sees. So that's continuation of his treating everyone like his own self. He can take it like this. And then he says, and he will be chastising. He will be a chastising hand to all impious persons, is mentioned. So that is also a duty of the king, that he should be able to uh, what do you call uh, control unruly elements. He should give them proper punishment, and reformation, transformation has to be done. So we can see this. The Lord himself comes, right? Pritranaya sadhuna, vinashaya chadushrutam, dharma samstarpanartaya sambhavami yoga yoga. Here, Prithu Maharaj is himself one of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So naturally, one of his important duties is to rein in the criminals, all the vinashaya dushkruta. That is one of the activity which he should do. So, and it is so that the society is peaceful and there is able to be spiritual progress. So, with these few words, I will end this class. If there are any questions, comments, welcome. Hare Krishna. Okay, so sometimes, these kind of verses come. Sometimes we feel, oh, there's not much of a, spiritual, spiritual in the sense, how we see spirituality. Like people, there should be talk about Krishna's all pastimes or Krishna's philosophy. But actually, what we fail to understand is everything is philosophy. Many times, if you see Prabhupada's definition of, he will say everything should be organized nicely. This is Krishna consciousness, he will say. Right? So what is the definition of Krishna consciousness? So that is this important. So, and similarly, it's not like in Bhagavatam, okay, let's only talk about where Krishna is speaking something, Krishna's pastimes are described, or Krishna's, uh, he's giving some kind of philosophical discourse. Those are important, but not something like, a glorification of King Vena and some of the characters which are talking about how a city is governed. So these are not important, not like that. Bhagavatam, every word is important. And if they are discussing these things there, we cannot say, oh, these are not important. Let's go to sections which are very important. If you see in Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter, there are so many things, many characteristics of like tolerance, humility, uh, uh, what do you call, self-control. So many things have been mentioned. And he says that all these things are considered knowledge. Anything which are not any of these is actually called ignorance. So without the knowledge, how will we get to Krishna consciousness? So these are important. You may not technically see them as are strictly spiritual things, but these are components of spirituality. Like if we don't exhibit these symptoms, then how can we become Krishna conscious? So one need to understand holistically. Therefore, Bhagavatam gives very elaborate descriptions of so many things, and we should give it full importance. Like sometimes we say, okay, over here, okay, this is why animal saving animals, and then okay, kings are all like this. Let's now from here jump to some Krishna's pastime like that. Okay, that somehow that's why I continued with what Prabhupada has written in this purport. I had the whole class talking about that. Just wanted to clarify that this is very important to go through whatever Prabhupada has written, fully focused on that is important. So I thought I will discuss more on these aspects which are Prabhupada is always connecting back. These days kings are not doing this. This is not how it is supposed to be. Then this is practical for us day-to-day living. Therefore, we need to discuss these things and see how we can make a difference. Hare Krishna. So I end here.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for a wonderful class, Prabhuji. Just I want to thank you for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. You always come and listen patiently. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So we will end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.